Pleasure to welcome to the show Collin Krieg, All-American out of Long Island and then out of the University of North Carolina. Collin, welcome to the show.
Hey, Damon, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Kind of a tradition around here. I always ask goalies, do you remember the story of when you first jumped into goal that very first time?
I do. So I was in second grade, and my town, Ward Melville 3 Village, we used to have like a nice in-house league where we'd get a ton of teams like from the town and we'd play. So there was like a second grade jamboree. So it was like all the teams from my age group, we get to play against each other. So I hopped in when I was in second grade, made a couple crease stuffs, and it inspired me to keep it going.
I love it. There's nothing like making a save as a goalie at that young age that will get you like pumped up. I'm sure the team was like really pumped up and fired up for you. And that's just it's a contagious feeling, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I remember feeling invigorated after getting hit in the face on the crease. And, I thought it was the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I love it. So you grew up on Long Island, kind of a hotbed of lacrosse, obviously. How'd you go about then, from that very first save that you made, go about learning how to make saves on a more consistent basis?
So I was always a big fan of the game. I used to watch all my high school's games. I watched a lot of college, and then my dad, he just eventually helped train me, and he used to shoot on me a lot. So that's really how I started to progress my game, just watching it and then just learning from him, what he was teaching me and everything like that, just playing more. And then really that's all.
Yeah. Who are some of the goalies that you watched that you remember at a young age?
But when I was a kid, I remember watching like John Galloway, Scott Rogers. I was actually at that national championship when Duke walked off and they beat him, but he was so great during that whole tournament and everything. Those are my like two favorites when I was a kid. I watched the Gavazden brothers. I loved them when I was a kid because one was at Hofstra, so I was a big fan of them. Yeah, those are just some memorable ones from when I was a younger guy.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that tournament from Scotty Rogers was unbelievable. It it kind of reminds me of like a Tillman Johnson or like that Scotty Rogers tournament where a goalie can just like take over the tournament when they get hot. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about this position.
Yeah, it's special.
Yeah. Any like, a lot of goalies when they're first starting out are like scared of the ball. Any like early things that you had to work through or like early problems in your goalie game?
Nothing like that. I was never really afraid of the ball. I always kind of just embraced the fact that you get hit with it. It's just part of the position. I mean, I'd always rather make the save and, feel the little bit of pain that comes with it. I was never afraid of the ball. I was always just into it and just ready to compete. That was never really a problem for me.
Good. What about like the big games? Like some young goalies, when they're first starting out, like you're the goalie, right? Like if you make a mistake, like it's an immediate goal on the scoreboard. And so a lot of goalies feel that pressure. Did you have any of that?
Not when I first started. I mean, as I progressed, I did a little more when the games got a little bigger in high school and stuff, but you start to learn that it's just the game and it's always been the same from whether it was in the backyard, playing fiddlesticks with my friends, whatever. It's just the same game. And when I look at it like that, it just becomes easier for me to just say, all right, just go out there and play. That's all you've ever done. You really shouldn't be worried about anything else besides just doing your best and enjoying this awesome game we play. So I've progressed from the point where I used to get more nervous and now it's not as much of an issue where it's like, all right, I'm just going to get in there and do what I've always done and enjoy it.
Yeah, I love that. It's a good attitude. What would you say is like your favorite thing about being a goalie?
I would say it's just like you said, when Scotty Rogers could take over a game in a tournament, like when you're in that zone, just the feelings you get, like just being able to shut down another team or just make those unbelievable saves, just the feeling you get, the crowd's reaction, your teammates' reaction, them pumping you up on the sideline after you make a great play, just being able to have a big impact on the game that really I don't know any other position maybe besides Fogo can have during a game.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I love that. What like every goalie sort of plays a little bit, different in their style. Like you, me, we're very much different than Scotty Rogers. Everyone's got kind of success in their own way. Like how do you describe your style?
So I would say I play fundamental. I stick to like a flatter type of arc, and I take very lateral steps. That's my goal. But I've tried to avoid becoming like I try to stay off my knees. I don't really like to flop. I just like to take your traditional step and just fire my hands to the ball, stay loose, stay relaxed, and just react to what happens and see the rock.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, and watching a lot of tape, and I have some saves that I want to review with you a little bit later, but in watching like a lot of tape, like you're so quick with the body. I mean, a lot of times like you're making off stick saves, like instead of like a lot of goalies will reach across, right? And kind of
Yeah.
make that. I mean, you're making that save in front of your face,
Uh,
which is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, that's just all part of the reaction. I think that happens a lot inside, in tight. You just pick it up and then you just fire as quick as you can. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not much of a, I don't really like to read the body and all this other stuff. I just try to lock in on the stick. And thankfully, I'm quick enough just to pick up the ball. And then when I see it, I just explode. So, I mean, whether it's the body, the stick, those are always important inside, just being quick and loose.
Yeah. Love it. So kind of progressing, through your goalie career, you then go to Ward Melville High School, which is, big lacrosse program. Are you starting right away, or how did that work out?
So I was on JV my ninth grade year. I got the start there, and then I ended up getting pulled up for the playoffs that year, and we ended up winning a state championship, which was an awesome experience. And then I ended up getting the start my sophomore year. I played all the way through. We ended up being ranked the number one team in the nation by Inside Lacrosse, and we won another state championship. And then I got to play again my junior year, and we ended up winning a county championship and lost in the Long Island championship. And then I never obviously got to play my senior year. It got cut short because of COVID.
Mm. And then, like, at what point did you start to realize, like, I want to play Division I college lacrosse?
I really knew that from a young age, from when really I started getting into it. I became a goalie full time in fifth grade. So that's really when I knew, around that age, fifth, sixth grade, I knew I really wanted to play in college. So, the competition started ramping up. I started doing more different showcase type things. I was going to different events, and I just started to see where I matched up against other players at, a higher level, and I was doing well. So I knew that hopefully Division I and like college lacrosse would be in the cards for me.
Nice. Yeah. And those, like, when you go to those big time showcases, I mean, that's kind of what we talked about earlier, that attitude of like, let's just have some fun. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. At points, it was stressful, obviously, because you're a young kid at the time. But you learn as you grow that it's just the game as always.
Yeah. Yeah, it is stressful because it's, especially if you're not from a hotbed of lacrosse, like if you go to these showcases, you don't get as many looks. So you put a
Yeah.
lot more pressure on your shoulders, knowing that like I've got to play well. And sometimes goalies who have that pressure don't play well. They don't react well to that pressure because
Mhm.
we got to have fun, play loose, be free.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it sounds like you did pretty well because, North Carolina came knocking. What was your recruiting process like?
So my age group, the 2020 graduating high school class, we were like the group that was split by the rule. So the September 1st rule came into effect in the winter of my ninth grade year. So there was like a little interest before that, but not really. And then, I ended up playing at Ward Melville my sophomore year. I got to play that great high school season. We ended up winning, whatever. And then I played in the summer and stuff and did well. And then, I had a lot more opportunities than I had originally before the rule happened. So that's just really how it worked. Just
Mm-hmm.
maturing as a player a little more.
Yeah. And did you, I mean, what was it about North Carolina's program that really attracted you?
I mean, off the bat, the coaching staff's phenomenal there. I mean, I hats off to Coach Metz, Coach Bresci, Coach Yu. I mean, those guys are all the best. Like Coach Bresci just preaches such a family atmosphere, and it's just you just feel it when you walk in that like this is a special place. This is just the staff alone. The school itself is phenomenal. It's got such a beautiful campus, the weather, the people, the sports, the opportunities, the social life, and then just the history of like the lacrosse program is phenomenal there too. It's a storied program. And I mean, it's just a school that I think had everything that I wanted, socially, academically, and lacrosse wise. So I mean, it was just an easy choice for me at the end of the day.
Awesome. Yeah, well, congrats. And congrats on a great first year as well. What advice would you tell like a 10th grader who has dreams of playing D1 lacrosse?
I would just say work hard and honestly just play loose and have fun because that's really when I found that I'm at my best. And I'm sure that's when everybody is. As soon as you start to tense up and think about, all right, this school is at this game or watching me do this is when you have problems, or at least that's when I've run into problems where, I'm not always as sharp, you're thinking about other things. When you just keep it about you and the ball, really just seeing the ball, that's really when you're at your sharpest. There's nothing, no outside noise going, kind of getting into your head, mixing things up for you. When it's just you and the ball and you're just out there having fun, doing what you've done your whole life for most of us, then you're at your best. And, it's just got to be fun. As soon as it becomes stressful, that's when it's not as good as it should be. And it's not enjoyable anymore.
Yeah. What do you do? I'm sure you've had a point in your career where it wasn't fun. I mean, all goalies are going to kind of run into that because we're getting pegged with, these rubber bullets. And what do you do to get back into that fun state?
Like sometimes, you just need a break. Like when I was going through the recruiting process, sometimes I was doing over 10 things in a summer and, there'd be days where I was home for one day and then I'd be on the road again. So like right now we played for 5 months. I've taken a good break away from seeing shots and just kind of relaxed. I've still been around the game. I'm coaching, whatever. But I think it's important that, you kind of peel it back and just realize, you get burnt out after a while. No matter what you do, it just loses a little bit of its value if you're just doing it over and over. So especially when I do it, if I take a break and then I come back, I always just feel hungrier than I was when I was in it doing it. Cause I miss it. It's been a while, but I always find it's easier when you take a break. I know it's hard during a season or during the summer, but once you get that off period, just find something else you like to do. Like I like to lift weights. I like to run. So I do that instead of playing and it helps me like get refocused.
That's a great answer. Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, I mean, as goalies, especially, you got to take some time off just to let your body recover, but like more so mentally, right? I mean, more so like, so when you come back to that game, you're fresh and inspired. And I love
Yeah.
that. I love to play pickup basketball in the off season, and that, like, I mean, obviously stay active. Like, don't sit on the couch eating Doritos and playing video games. Stay active, but you can do a lot of other things besides lacrosse.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're a big gym guy. I see the barbell in the background there.
Yeah, it's my little home gym in the basement. I outgrew it a little bit, but I still find myself down here time to time when I need a workout and a squeeze, getting down here and getting some reps in. But I like the lift.
Love it. At what point did that kind of become part of your routine, the gym?
So I think when I was about going into my freshman year, I really kind of fell in love with it, working out and doing all the extra stuff. Because when I was a kid, I was a little bit on the heavier side. I was a little out of shape. And I knew I was going to have problems when it came to high school level lacrosse if I couldn't get myself into better condition. So I really just gravitated toward working out and getting in the gym. And, things happened pretty quickly. My physique changed and all that stuff. So it was just, and then I just enjoyed it. It was good stress killer. It's always good to, take stress out, just get the exercise in. It's always been enjoyable for me. So I just keep doing it.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I love it. It's like I throw in the headphones. It's like my time where I'm just like in my own little world, and it's like,
Exactly.
meditation almost. And then, like you said, nothing will increase your confidence like putting on 15 pounds of muscle,
Yeah,
both
exactly.
like in the goal and just like in life.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely important for me growing up in my playing career. I mean,
Yeah,
it helped me tremendously get through high school conditioning. It just makes you a better overall player. You're quicker, faster, stronger, more explosive, and you're more
yeah,
confident at points too.
absolutely. Do you lift in season or do you take a break from the gym then?
So we lifted twice a week at UNC. It was mainly just, maintain your strength and like prevent injury stuff. But yeah, it was twice a week. But outside of that, I was a little too tired to do anything on my own at points. So the
Yeah.
2 lifts a week were just perfect for me to just maintain my strength and, you know, work on my being loose. There's like a lot of stuff we do is for like stretching and your muscles. So that was important. Like certain exercises, staying flexible. A lot of that stuff is important during the season. I don't think it's smart to try to build muscle and strength during the year, because then you'll get worn down, and it's really hard because a lot of the kids are always running, not as a goalie per se, but as if you're a field player, how are you going to put on any strength when you're running miles during the week? So
Yeah. Well, you still do quite a bit of running, I imagine. You do all the conditioning with the team, yeah?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I did more running this year than ever because we did a lot of 10-man riding. So that was definitely a big adjustment. I mean, I think just from practice, I knew the first couple of days that I was going to got to do a lot of running, and I was perfectly fine with it. Thank God I'm in good enough shape to do it. But, it's just a different transition, the ride game from college to high school to college. You actually have to contribute now as a goalie. You got to get into it. You got to do the 10-man because it's just so important, because a couple failed clears from the other team can change the game. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So were there any other schools you were looking at, by the way, or is pretty much just North Carolina?
I mean, yeah, there were other schools that were interested in me, but North Carolina was always my number one spot. I mean, I knew from the jump it was always a place that I had wanted to go, and I always looked at like this would be a dream school for me. So when the opportunity came knocking, it was just too good for me to pass up.
Yeah, love it. I want to talk about the situation there. So you get there, and there's Caden Johnson, who he had a great year the previous year.
Yes.
And how did that? What was the dynamic with you guys, and how did that play out?
No, Bob was a phenomenal kid. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him. He instantly took me in. He was taking care of me, driving me to practice. And we were obviously competitive, but, there was really no animosity between us. And, I ended up winning out and getting the job, but he was always supportive of me. And, I'm happy he ended up finding a good spot for himself over at Ohio State for the next season. And I'm hoping all the best for him and, rooting for him.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean those goalie competitions, they're usually not. There's usually no hate. I mean, it's usually none animosity, because you're on the same team. You're in this like real tight group of that we call goalies. So it's usually friendly competition where you're kind of pushing
Yeah.
each other. But yeah, and then so what was the feeling like for you when you first found out like you had won the starting job?
Well, I was excited, but I was obviously just trying to focus on getting myself ready to play and being ready for Denver that first week. But I mean, obviously it's exciting, but quickly wears off, and then you start thinking about, all right, let me get prepared for the game. I think I found out a few days before the game. So I mean, then it was like, all right, let me lock in. Got to make sure I know the game plan, what we're doing on the defensive side of the ball, how we're gonna ride, what's the clear looking like for that game. So it went quickly from excitement. All right, let me get prepared and make sure I'm ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. Did you find that your goalie game changed at all between Ward Melville and North Carolina, or were you kind of just same style, same approach?
My approach has changed a little bit. In high school, my stance, I didn't really like my stance as much as I do now. I kind of was a little like leaning back in a way, not really. And I've changed, tweaked a bunch of different things from when I first started playing in 10th grade in high school till
Mm-hmm.
now. I've fixed my hands a little bit. I've leaned forward a little more. But the biggest thing that I think that I'd stop doing, I kind of try to stay away from going to the ground, because in high school at points I had trouble with like the high bounce shots, because I would always try to slide down and block it with my body. So I just try to stay on my feet more, and then just be a little more relaxed and just wait to see the ball instead of just I see it low and just slide. I just try to make sure I get my stick there and make more clean saves in a way. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's been a big jump in my game. And everything else, you just grow as you get older. And I've made progress in the clearing game, pretty much every spot. From that age to now, it's just been like a long time. So a lot of progression.
Yeah, love it. How would you describe like how you hold your top hands or your hands in your stance?
Well, now and during the season, I was a little closed off, and my shoulder is a little tight. And in the off season, I've been trying to work on getting my shoulder out a little wider and having a little more of an angle on my stick. And during the year, I was a little up and down, like bit perpendicular, and it gave me more trouble punching high and even getting low, because this is when your shoulder's tight, it's a little more mechanical. See how it kind of opens up and you're using the weaker muscles. But when you're on the outside and you're a little wider, you can just use the stronger part of your shoulder to actually drive to the ball. And it really works for all the spots. Because when I'm here, it's still mechanical to go this way. And the same thing when you're going down low, your hips. And then when you're on an angle, it makes it quicker. You get that off stick a little better. You get the more power this way. You get more power down low. So I've really just been trying to fix that. It's a small tweak, but hopefully it'll help me make a few more saves throughout the course of the season that I missed because my hands were a little straight. My arm was a little tight.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard that. And I'm over here like doing all these little, movements, trying to like work it out. And yeah, you like, because you see so many goalies set up kind of like with like in tight like this in their stance, but it does feel like, it's if your shoulders open a little bit, like you've got more pop, exactly. more explosion.
Well, and also when I'm in this, you just feel a lot of your muscles are a lot more tense. Like my chest is tense, my shoulders are tight. This is more of a relaxed position when you're out wide. So that'll also help me just be able to fire quicker. And then just being out here, you can just move better.
Yeah, love it. I wanted to, if we could do this, could we go through some saves? Like
that'd be great.
Yeah, play some video and just kind of talk about, if you remember them. They're all from last season, so hopefully you do remember them. But let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Hang on, I got to get my notes. Get this Zoom thing out of the way here. This is the first play I wanted to have a look at.
Denver 1 for 6 in their last game. Man up, big shot, wide of the mark, taken by Reed Batt.
Oh man, I love that play so much. So for those who are listening to the audio, so there's a shot, wide of the cage, and you chase it out. Yeah. Has that always been sort of a part of your game?
It has been. Yeah, that's definitely been part of it, because as a goalie, your first job is to make the save. But whenever you can steal a possession, whether it's a chase or a ground ball outside the net, or like say picking off a cross, crease, pass, whatever, it's always important, because you know what? You're always there to stop the ball, but it's the most important thing is getting possession back to the offense. So if you could do that in any way, it's just huge. So I've always been good at, kind of timing it up and realizing the ball is going to miss the net and just hustling back there. But this play was definitely special to me. I think this was probably the first play I made in college. I had given up a quick early goal against Denver, one that I would have liked to have back, but it was my first one. I wanted to get it out of the way. It was fine. But you could obviously see I'm a little emotional here. I give a fist pump. I think that was my first play I made during the season, and it was definitely exciting, but good chase.
Yeah, I love it. Well, they're man up too. I mean, so
man up.
Yeah, they're man up, and you win the possession. And I mean, this is any goalie. I love this. Like, boom, give a little, like fist pump, fire up your team. Like you just made a great play, and if you don't do that, I feel like you're missing an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I was feeling it. I remember that. I was excited for that.
You should be. Yeah. The other thing too, like, we talked about, not going down to your feet. Like when you don't do that, like that leaves you in perfect position to chase it out. Cause if you drop to your feet right there, guess what? Denver ball, they're still man up, right?
Yep, exactly. And you're just able to do different things. Like even if it's a rebound and you're on your knees, you're in big trouble, because then you have to get back up and play it, but it's almost impossible. When you're on your feet more, it gives you a better chance to do things like that. Quick rebound, or come out, get a ground ball. If you give up a rebound, something that's you can't do when you're on your knees.
Yep. Awesome. Let's see, next play here. All right, this save is absurd. So this guy rips one. Let's just actually watch the whole play before we.
Sullivan is there though to keep possession for the Pios. Skip pass. Blair will shoot this one. Krieg makes the stop.
Wow, Krieg made that look easy. I mean, that was from.
Yeah, Quint has a great point here. So Denver guy rips a shot. He's at the 6-yard mark. So maybe like, but I don't know, 7 yards away. Yeah. And you make that look real easy. You're not reading his body language? Like that's just a simple read and react?
Well, if you want to read his body language, he's kind of coming underhand. So if you would, from that spot, you would expect him to shoot low. I'm pretty much glazed on the stick head and the ball there, because, everything's kind of pointing to him shooting low there to me watching this clip. And, I was just waiting to see the ball and reacting and just being able to drive my hand over, because, a lot of guys, you might see them be on the ground for that shot, because he's 6 yards out. He's unloading. He's probably shooting at 95. as hard as he can from there. But if you just wait and you see the ball, you're giving yourself a better chance than just trying to, just play like a guessing game in a sense. So that's what I try to do here. Just, wait and see it. And you always give yourself a better chance to just react and trust your hand speed and your eyes to make the save.
Yeah, love it. And even at this, I mean, I was talking about kind of you making off-stick saves in front of your face, like even, that close, that fast. I mean, you see how you get your body in front of it, and that's unbelievable. Great technique.
Mm-hmm. I love this clip because if you watch my D guys, they're all jumping in front of the ball there. That's incredible.
Yeah. Like isn't that 16? He tries to take your glory, he tries to get that save.
They did a great job all year blocking shots for me. So I love it. I don't mind. It's all about getting stops as a unit.
Oh, of course. That
awesome.
That fires you up as a goalie when one of the D guys can step in front and soak one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Next play is 105.
This unit.
So this is the high point game.
There's Rogers looking for the hat trick, going low.
So I notice here, if we watch this play, the guy's kind of coming in, and I mean, there's really only like one spot he can shoot at that point. Yeah. Like you mentioned, like you're not a sort of, the goalie Smith guys call it read him and beat him. When it's in close, you're not that. That's not your style.
In a sense, I am, but I'm not. It depends where they are. Like from here, and you see this play, he's got a slide coming, a guy on his back, he's dropping his hands. Mm-hmm. That's a spot where I'd say, all right, read him and beat him. As to the one before, he kind of had his hands free, and he had an anywhere to shoot. Right. I'm more of a read him and beat him when the defense is dictating where he can shoot kind of place. So like here, if I didn't go early, he would have scored on me compared to the one before where if I would have went early, he probably would have scored. So see how we got a Parker on his back, and I think we have a slide coming. He's got nowhere else to shoot besides that offside, and he already had his hands low, so he had to go low there because he had no opportunity to come back up high.
Yep. Great read. And then, so this one you do drop to your knees. Is that just like a reaction, or is there a specific reason you're doing that?
That's just a reaction in tight, just trying to get down to the ball.
Yeah,
definitely. Outside, it's a little easier to stop yourself from doing that. Inside, I just try to pick it up and get to it.
Got it.
As best I can.
Got it. Yep. I noticed you got the sweats tucked into the socks there. Love that look. Has that always been your look?
No, actually, this is the first time this season that I've worn sweats for the majority of the year. I've always been a shorts goalie, and then I said, okay, it's kind of silly to wear shorts, especially when it's in New York where we're in winter until basically May. So, I mean, half the time it was 40 degrees. I'm out there wearing shorts, but you're standing there, you're freezing. So I just said, all right, just be smart, wear sweats. Your body stays, warmer, you're looser. And honestly, I think it's just a good look. And, sometimes it helps you make saves because it gives that illusion of you're taking up more net than you actually are.
For sure. It's a great look. Yeah, it's a great look. And the baggy sweats, I mean, if they give you 1-2 more saves per year, why not?
Yes, they're worth it.
Why not? I know she got LK on the throat guard tape there. What's that for?
LK is for my grandmother who passed away a few years ago. And then on the other side, I have BM, and that's for my uncle who passed away from cancer 2 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear about that. And that's awesome. Yeah. You can honor them.
Thank you.
Yeah. 217 is, oh yeah, right. Actually, this clip right here is amazing. So let's watch this play.
High Point used a 6-0 run to get to within 15-13. They have it in the fourth quarter.
So, if you're listening, you guys are doing a clear, and probably a good piece of advice for the youth out there. Don't try and throw a cross-field offhand pass. Anyway, High Point picks it off. He sees an open net, shoots it, and you make a diving save. I mean, how are you feeling after this play?
Honestly, I was like, all right, let me just see where the ball is. I mean, in the moment, you're not really like, oh my God, I just made a diving save. When I ran off the field after timeout, I was like, I kind of laughed to myself because I have tried that before. I had gotten burned a couple times, like on a 10-man in high school, and I tried to dive and I ran into the pipe and a bunch of different stuff. So it's kind of funny to me that I got to do it in a North Carolina game. But I was just more happy just to stop a goal because I think in this game, that was like one of our third failed clears in a row. At that point, we were having a little bit of trouble in the fourth quarter clearing the ball. So I was just happy we didn't give up a goal off of pretty much a broken play there. It was the most exciting part to me because they played phenomenal in this game, and they were all over us at points. So it was just good to just not give them that momentum, because that probably would have been a huge play if it went the other way. I mean, that's a huge goal for them. So just stopping that play and kind of halting their momentum there and not really giving them an opportunity to really get back into the game was just important.
Yeah, I mean, you look, there's 5 minutes left in the game. That would have made it a 3-goal game. They're riding the momentum. So, I mean, just in terms of the flow of the game, that's a huge save. Awesome. All right. Next one I want to do is at 217.
3-minute man down situation. Clark, it all started with a great Collin Krieg save. He's been sharp tonight, 6-6.
So you got to, the clip of you dancing in the goal there. I love that. It just shows me that you're super loose, super, having fun, like kind of what we talked about earlier. Anything else you'd add there?
It's something I've been doing for a long time, just singing and like moving like that in the net. It just keeps you loose, it makes it fun. Like if you ask any of the kids I played Pee Wee with up until now, they would say, he does this all the time. It's not really something new. Like when I got to North Carolina, like I was doing it, and the kids were like, "Do you do this all the time?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of my thing." So they expect it out of me. And anyone watching that knows me from home kind of knows I do it. So it was funny that they caught me doing it on live TV. And they said something about it. It was kind of funny to me.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy because they were like specifically talking about you, and then you're just kind of like just feeling it, just dancing, and they're like, look how loose this guy is. And it's a great commentary, because that's exactly what it's all about. And I know a lot of youth do that. And if that's part of your game, like own that, embrace that, stay loose, have fun, right?
It makes it so much easier.
Yeah. Awesome. I made a little reel of this, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. That was like my first taste of like going viral. Everyone loved that.
That was awesome. I love when you put that out.
Yeah. All right. So we got, that was 217, 304.
Krieg is there again.
Yeah, this was a save. The comment I was going to make, we already kind of made that comment, but it's a pretty fast shot. Like, I don't know how far away he is, like call it 10, 11 yards, but off stick, and your head's like right behind that. And you can also see kind of in this one, that shoulder technique that we were talking about. So not like, not in close a little bit, but kind of out a little bit and relaxed.
Yeah. Yes, you can. So this was I think their second or third man up of the quarter. This kid, Peter Garneau, he has one of the hardest shots I've ever seen. He's got a phenomenally quick release, and he shoots it probably high 90s in game. But he had taken one from the exact same spot on a 3-minute man down, like the prior man down. Like we ended up killing it, but he shot it stick side high and ended up making the save. And this one, he went off stick. But he's got a cannon, and it's important to just stay loose, because if I'm tight there's no way I'm catching up to a 98, 99 mile an hour heater from a quick release like that.
Yep. And in this scenario, like he's far enough out where you're just seeing the ball and reacting to it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Awesome. Oh yeah. I want to keep running this play, because
11 saves, tying a career high. I know he's just a freshman, but he's having his best game in his most important game, his first ACC game in.
I mean, one of the things I love about your game so much is the clearing and the outlet passes. I mean, is that something you specifically work on, or how did that become, part of your game?
It's just, I've always, I used to play attack as a kid. I always loved to work on my stick skills. I hit the wall pretty regularly, but clearing has been always something that's been, come to me pretty well. When I got to North Carolina, I had trouble at first because I hadn't played in so long, and the game speed was really fast for me. So I found myself really struggling on the clear. But as the year progressed, like in the beginning of the season, I had a little more trouble. But by the end, I had found, I knew what I was doing, and I was very comfortable. But in a situation like that, you have your man down, you're going to get a guy on you. Mm-hmm. And you just got to trust your athletic ability. And for some reason, I just knew we were going to have a guy coming out of the box or in that area. So I was just instantly looking for it. And I kind of saw he was open, but I didn't have really any space to get my hands free to throw it until I kind of ran up a little further. but it was ultimately just a good look, and happy that Brian ended up popping out for me there.
Yeah, a lot of goalies, a lot of youth goalies say like, well, what do I do if somebody's on me, in the clear, right? And to which I say, like, you always want to have like a dodge or be comfortable with your stick, have that in your game, because like if you need to, you can run up the field while taking whacks on the arm, until you can get your hands free and find that guy. So
exactly. Yeah, it's definitely important to just be comfortable with the ball. And that's why I think playing different positions at the youth level helped me for sure, because I've always been comfortable with the ball on my stick. I've never been afraid to run away from guys or try to make a move and escape. And, I think if you've just been a goalie, you never have gotten that experience of trying to beat a man or, just running up and down the field. It's a little more difficult to do something like that.
Yep. Totally agree. Yeah. I started out as a midi. And my face dodge as a goalie, legendary, Colin. I don't know if they're still talking about it in Berkeley, but I hope so.
My move is, I think it's probably the toe drag, the one hand, walk the dog a little bit.
I love it. And then do you give them a little look back to see,
No, I don't, because, if I did that, I'd probably get caught from behind. So I just try to stay with my eyes up in front. So I try to get rid of the ball.
I love it. 751. So there's tons of great saves in here. And if you haven't, for people listening, check out, I put this up on my YouTube. So you can check out these highlights.
Sick.
But this one,
UNC's defense at Collin Krieg continues to be locked down.
oh, I love that play. 75, 80 yards in the air. I mean, that's unbelievable. Is that something you kind of practice or?
No, honestly, I mean, it was kind of a lucky pass. I never thought that I would actually be able to hit. It wasn't my plan to hit him. I kind of just threw it down there, and it worked out that his guy kind of fell asleep, and then he ended up popping to the ball. But I put it in a spot where I saw the bulk of our attackmen. We had two lefties out there, it looks like. So I kind of just threw it up there, hoping, maybe get a ground ball, scrum, whatever. But it ended up working out that his kid fell asleep. The guy who was guarding him, see how he's asleep over there.
Yeah.
And then he ended up catching it and was able to have his hands free and ripped a good shot there. And I mean, it was kind of like, whoa, I didn't expect that to happen. And it was at the end of the quarter. So, just take the chance, and there's nothing wrong if it doesn't work out, because they're not going to be able to come down and get the ball back. So might as well just try it.
Right. Love it. There we got a little bit of the mohawk going on. Why do you go with that style?
I don't know. I just, as a kid, I always wanted one, and I just never got it. So I was like, all right, I'm in college, I got a lot of free time on my hands. Let me try it out and see what happens. It kind of worked out. It kind of became my thing during the season, and I liked it. So I kept it going throughout the year. And then I was coming home, and I was like, all right, I can't walk around my house like that. My mom really wouldn't like the look at me. So I decided to just cut it. But I definitely think the mohawk will be making another appearance in my college lacrosse career for sure.
Yeah, baby. Awesome. Well, thank you for going through that. That was tons of fun. And congratulations, like I said, on an amazing first year. I mean, as a freshman, I wanted to ask, how do you go about being a leader of that team as a freshman? Because it's tough to be able to earn the trust of that group of guys right away. What's your approach to that?
Yeah, so it was obviously tough as, freshman, when you have a very senior, upperclassman heavy leadership team with fifth-year seniors, and, we had 17 seniors on the team. So for me this year, it was just kind of finding my role and helping guys as needed. They didn't need as strong of a leader as other teams I've been on. We had the fifth years. We had guys like Justin Anderson who really could take hold of a team and do their job. It was really just me being there and kind of just being steady in myself and just keeping, the kids of my grade, coming along, just making sure they're staying down the right path. That was really my role this season, just, keeping myself level, making sure we were doing things on defense, keeping them level to a certain degree, and just doing what I was supposed to do in the net.
Love it. Yeah. Yep. That's great advice. And like you said, each year brings about like a new team dynamic, and you lose 17 seniors. Maybe this year you do need that leadership, and that's kind of you step up and into that role.
Exactly.
But wasn't needed last year, and that's fine. When you talk about like drills or what you like to do to improve your goalie game, or even you mentioned you're doing some coaching right now. I don't know if it's with goalies, but what comes to mind in terms of like drills?
Drill wise, when I'm working with a goalie or I'm working with my dad out at the field, I think the most important thing for a goalie is getting a good warm up. I think that's the best spot for someone to actually work on their skills. Because in a warm up, I could really focus on my steps. I could really focus on my hand position. I could really focus on my top hand drive. It's really the best spot for me to just focus on these things. And that's really the main spot you can improve on everything. And obviously you have your other drills. I like to get on my knees and do the off hip drill. I don't know if you've ever seen that one where they just throw it and you do that one. I've always done a drill called turn and drive that my dad found from Notre Dame. I think Jerry Byrne used to do it with their goalies. I've been doing that since I was probably about 8 years old. You stand on the pipe and the shooter's set up over in the alley. You take a big hard drive step and you get set up and you just see a shot. I think those drills are just more important. I get on the pipe. I just stand there and we work on, taking away high shots, stuff like that. I don't really do any crazy out of this world drills that really, it's all just, fundamental stuff, just working on my little pieces of technique, tweaking this, tweaking that. At this stage in my game, there's no drills that are really going to really, teach me something that I don't already know, really help me work on stuff. It's all kind of on my own, just got to work on my own steps. There's no drills that are going to, sometimes I do walk the line and stuff if I can't get shots, but there's no, I do certain things, but I don't really, I do some eye hand stuff. I always do ball toss, but there's no really crazy drills that I'm doing that you see on some of these websites and stuff that I like to stick to the fundamental things.
Love it. Yep. So you mentioned like the key for you is getting the good warm up.
Yes.
What does that mean? What does that mean? So let's say you're not working with your dad, you're working with another shooter. Like what do you tell him? How do you do that?
So for Coach Metz, our goalie coach this year, he would just, just make sure I had enough shots. I think it's all about just getting loose and getting your body warm. Because a lot of times in high school, I didn't get that warm up I needed. So it felt like at times, my legs weren't going and my hands were, my hands were going. I mean, my legs were going and my hands weren't moving because, the warm up is just important to get everything connected and get that fluidity and that movement in. So like you just pick up tracking the ball. So I've always been a heavier warm up guy. So I probably need somewhere around the 50 shot range to actually feel really comfortable about what I'm doing and how I'm feeling that day rather than a short, quick warm up. I like to see more shots and just get moving and pick up the ball.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, it's important for each goalie to know what works for them because like you said, some goalies might need 200 shots before they feel comfortable, right?
Yeah,
before they're quote unquote warm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some goalies might need 10, 15, 20, like a low amount. It's all kind of what works for you.
Uh-huh.
And Coach Metz, David Metzbauer has been in the game coaching goalies for, longer than your lifetime, right? Literally. I had him, I had Bacigalupo, the old Princeton goalie, on, and he talked about working with Coach Metzbauer.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's the best. He was very good to me this year. Made sure I got enough shots, did extra drill work with me. Always just kind of talked through stuff with me as well, made sure, I was doing this the right way. Gave me a couple, technique pointers throughout the season just to keep me on track. But as every goalie coach knows, it's kind of hard to actually tweak someone's technique when they're in the heat of the season. You don't really want to mess with what they're doing and getting their head in the way. So even when I'm training goalies now, they're in the heat of their summer season. You don't really want to tweak their techniques in such a way that you got them playing mind games. It's more about just getting them repetitions, getting them comfortable in their positioning and their stance, and just getting them to see the ball and just feel comfortable where they're at.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. What about the mental game? Did he work at all on the mental game with you?
Yeah, at points he just told me just to focus on what I'm supposed to be doing and just lock into my techniques and stuff like that. But he kind of let me go because he thought I had a good stance on my mental stuff. I've kind of been a little stoic, throughout my high school career and definitely in college. It's all about just staying kind of level. And I'm learning that, if you just focus on your technique and not your performance, you'll always do better. If I just focus on, all right, I'm supposed to be standing like this, let me make sure I'm in the right spot, I'll always be doing better than, all right, I didn't make the last save, all right, I got to make this save, all right, I'm under 50% in this drill, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If I just focus on, all right, I got to make sure I'm in the right stance, my hands are loose, I'm staring at the stick head, I'll always perform better than when I'm worried about, all right, I got to do this, got to make these saves. It's all about just staying locked into your technique. It's like a baseball player at batting practice. They just want to work on their technique, their form, their swing. They're not necessarily worried about how many balls they're hitting out of the park. They're just trying to work on that technique. If they're hitting it off the tee per se or something like that, just staying in their game. And then when it comes to the game, you're comfortable in that and you could just let loose and just do your thing.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, anytime you start thinking about your save percentage, you're screwed. I mean,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you're not like present in the moment. You're elsewhere. Like how can you play like sports when you're not present in the moment and having fun, and you just lose concentration.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. And then, when you give up a goal, it's one at bat, right? It's one at bat. And,
Exactly.
As goalies, I mean, heck, if we can go 6 out of 10, 60%, I mean, that's elite. That's elite these
phenomenal.
days.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind. What about like when you give up a goal? You mentioned being like pretty stoic. Do you have like a particular routine you go through?
I just get it up to the ref as quickly as I possibly can. That's pretty much it. And then I just start thinking about the next one. Because I learned pretty quickly, if you want to perseverate on the goal that you just gave up, it's going to be a long day. Because, these guys in college, they smell that in the water. They're like sharks. They know when a goalie is losing it a little bit. And that's when they'll start to just unload on you a bit. So, I mean, at points, I gave up, I think the highest amount of goals I gave up this year was 18. So I gave up 18 goals. And if you're thinking, oh, the whole game, all right, I just gave up a bad one here, then you just kind of slip and slide. You guys got to try to play. Each possession is a different battle. You just got to stay battle, and just be focused on the next thing. All right, you made a stop. Think about the next one. You let up a goal, good, bad, whatever. Just think about the next one. Because if you're on the last one, or if you're, stuck in the past, you're never going to be able to really be focused on what's coming in the future and the next possession, the next shot, the rest of the game if you're stuck on that one. So it's always about taking that next step ahead and really just staying positive with yourself, because there's always going to be times you're going to make great saves or you're going to give up bad goals. It's every goalie. It doesn't matter who you are or how skilled, whatever. You're always going to give up bad goals. It's just how you react and how you move on from that. And that'll dictate who you are as a goalie.
Well said. Yeah, very well said. Who can, you mentioned like the other team can kind of smell when the goalie's losing it. Who can really smell that as well is the opposing fans.
Yes.
They can smell that and they will try and get in your heads. And if you let them, then it's all downhill from there. So you got to be, you got to be mentally tough and block everything out and just stay focused.
Yep.
Awesome. Love it. What about pregame? You got like pregame rituals?
No, they kind of change. I mean, this year I just tried to drink like a cool blue Gatorade before every game, which was kind of just interesting. Like have Pop-Tarts, drink like one of those Starbucks coffees and like have a cool blue Gatorade. The music I listen to before a game changes. Sometimes a couple, like in the beginning of the season, I like to ride the bike before the game, like the stationary bike. And then toward the end of the year, I wasn't doing that anymore. So it's just whatever you feel comfortable doing that day. But I'm kind of learning that there's no such thing as really superstition and game day rituals, because I've had plenty of them. And a lot of times I've played great. And there's been plenty of times that I haven't played so well. So it's really just about just being locked into your technique. That's all I'm really learning, and not about the rest of the stuff. It doesn't matter what mouthpiece you have, how you tie your shoes, what socks you have on, what shirt you're wearing, what you ate for breakfast. It's just all about how you wake up that day and your mentality that really dictates how you play. None of the other extra superstitious things.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm making a little playlist of goalie songs here. What artist or song do you think I should throw on on your behalf?
My music bounces around so much. I probably couldn't triangulate one song for you. My genres, I go from EDM. I'm listening to pop music. I'm listening to like older music that my mom would listen to in the car. Like it just bounces around from each week to week. So I couldn't even pinpoint a song I want to give you right now.
No worries. No worries. What about, with all this experience that you've had now and kind of a year under your belt at North Carolina, what advice would you give your younger self?
I would just say, don't be as hard on yourself. Be, a little easier, because, at times, you're not always going to be perfect. and you just got to have more fun with what you're doing and just really enjoy the process a little more than you did. You know, it's all about enjoying it, because, you know, this year for me already went by really quick. I'm going back to school in a month, and, you know, my season has been over for a good a month already, a little more. So I mean, it's been a long time, and the time just flies by. I feel like I just showed up to Chapel Hill last August, but I realistically haven't been there. I mean, it's been a year since that, so time flies by quick. I could still see myself playing in high school, but I haven't played in high school since I was a junior. So I mean, it just flies by quick. You have to really enjoy it and just value that moment. Just be a little less hard on yourself.
Love it. Awesome. Well, good luck in the upcoming year, Colin. This was tons of fun. Thank you for kind of sharing your knowledge and going through some of those plays and just taking the young goalies through it. If they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
I would say at my Instagram, at ckrieg28. I definitely like to respond to DMs on there. I know some younger guys have DM'd me before. I'm always open to responding to everybody if I can. You know, I don't have that much activity on there, so I definitely would like to respond. It's always just important to help out the kids that are coming up, and, you know, just helping the goalie community, because, you know, lacrosse is just bigger than the wins and the losses. You know, it's about relationships and, you know, about teaching people stuff. Like, I like, you know, how phrasing it, sports are more than a game. You know, it's life lessons. So if you could help somebody out down the line and maybe make their day, or, you know, give them a piece of advice that can help shape their career, I think that's always important to do, because there was people doing that for me when I was a kid. So just kind of return the favor in a way.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, that's what I try to do as well. Like, this game gave me, as well as a lot of other people, just so much. And, you know, it's part of the culture of like giving back. And I love it. I love it, man. I love working with those kids, and I'm sure you do too. So that's great.
Exactly.
That's great to hear. And congratulations on coming out of hibernation on the Instagram. You know, it's been a while, but we're back, baby.
Yeah, I know it's been a long time, but, you know, I decided it was a good time to become a little more active with it, and hopefully I keep it up. You know, it's something that, you know, I don't really enjoy doing that much, but it's important nowadays.
Yeah, love it. Colin, if you had to leave the kids out there with one last piece of advice, what would that be?
Just have fun and enjoy it. Lacrosse is the best sport in the world. I hope you guys realize that watching the NCAA tournament. There's so much nonstop action. And what you put in the game, it'll always give it back to you. So if you give it everything you got, there'll always be something. The game's going to find a way to give it back to you at some point. So just stay with it and enjoy it.
Love it. Colin, thank you so much.
Thanks, Damon. I appreciate it.